What's up guys? I'm so excited for today's video because I made something I really like and I'm proud of, because believe it or not, I made a fully rendered character with a background and the character is full body. So let's get into it. First of all, this was actually just gonna be an anatomy study. That's why I'm tracing over the image so it's easier for me to understand where everything goes, since that way it helps me sketch stuff faster and I can actually understand, like, oh, an arm is more tubular, the shoulders are more oval. It's just a really helpful and a quick way for you to understand how a pose works instead of just immediately starting. After that, I began a second sketch because I actually started liking this pose a lot and I felt like doing something with it. So what I usually do is sometimes I do 2 or 3 sketches just to define everything. In this case, I wanted to do something a bit different. So I wanted to do something with a bigger hairstyle than I'm usually used to. This reference, I really liked it because the braids were really long and the top part was really puffy. And also I added tattoos, but that doesn't matter because at the end I don't even add them. I totally forgot about them. So after that sketch, that's when I start doing a line art. Usually I use the line art and then I color and they're put together, but in this case it was different. Even though I don't really use the line art, it does help me because later on when I'm adding the colors I can figure out where everything's supposed to go, and then I can take away the line art and it looks pretty similar to what it's supposed to look like. And even though I wasn't even gonna use it, I was just having fun. I don't know, I just really liked how clean it was coming out and the texture that I was using. I really love using more like pencil-y brushes, so I was having fun with that and also following some braid tutorials because I don't know why, but sometimes it confuses me how they're supposed to be made. So instead of trying to figure it out, I was like, I'm just gonna look for tutorials and see what happens. And I swear to God, whenever you're stuck, the best thing you can do is just look for a tutorial immediately. If you see that you're stuck and you're just not figuring that thing out, just look for a tutorial. You will fix it so fast. And after that, I did a sort of background, just trying to get an idea of the colors that I wanted to use. After that, I began adding the colors. So what I was doing is I had the line art on top and the bottom layer was the color, and I started looking at references so that, again, I understood what I was doing. So this is my favorite part, which is when I started rendering out the skin. What I like doing is immediately going first with the shadows and the lighting, trying to figure out where everything goes. Always checking references, making sure that I know what I'm doing. I feel like doing braids isn't that difficult. What I was worried about was the top part of the hair because it's so messy, and I still have a difficult time doing messy hair because I don't know where to put the hair strands or where to have more detail than other parts. But overall, I really like how the hair came out. The braids were pretty fun to do. Like, there was a moment where I was just like watching a movie and doing the braids because it was just like so fun seeing how they came to life. After that, I started working on the background, which was actually pretty fun. I also got a shit ton of references for that, and I had to create some brushes, some foliage brushes, because I was not gonna be painting each fucking leaf. That was too much. So I just got 2 bushes and then I turned them into brushes, and now it looks like there's a lot of leaves, and that way it's easier for me to paint them and add the lighting and shadows without having to paint every single leaf and wasting my time on that. And then I started working on the plants that were around her, which was pretty simple. Honestly, I don't draw plants that much, But from what I understood, seeing the references, is that in ferns it's pretty like simple inside. It has more shadow, and the outside hits the sun more, like the light hits it more. And in this section, I remember I was kind of having trouble because I couldn't get it to look like plants that much because there were just so many. So I was trying to figure out like where would there be shadows, where would the light hit. But then once I said, oh, it looks okay, it's fine, I decided to add some extra leaves poking out on the foreground so it looks like it's closer to the viewer, and then that's behind it and stuff like that. And I don't know, I just really liked how it came out. Also, I found out that doing leaves with the lasso tool is so helpful and so fast and easy. Like seriously, it helps to create those sharp edges at the end of the plant, and also you can fill it in like super fast. So that was awesome. Something that I also did, which was I went by sections. I didn't have the whole canvas shown. I had to like zoom into certain areas because if not, I feel like I can't concentrate. So it's easier for me to go section by section. So like one plant, and then we go to the next plant, and then we go to the next plant, but never zooming out, because I don't know, if I zoom out and I work on it zoomed out, I don't know, I can't do it. I freak out. Like, sure, I zoom out to check if everything is looking okay, but I kind of like zoom in just on that area so that I don't get overwhelmed knowing that I have to do much more, because if I get overwhelmed then I don't want to finish the drawing. But also not zooming in too much to the point that I'm doing like details that aren't even gonna be seen. And here I'm just editing the saturation, color balance, making sure everything looks okay, and adding a slight vignette around the image so that the central point is her. And here's a quick recap of the process, starting with the very messy sketch, trying to figure out what I wanted, to the line art, which got cleaned up a lot, to the basic colors, basic lighting and shadows, and then from there the foliage, more rendered piece of her, and finally the edited version with the vignette and the sun rays. But yeah, either way, I liked how it came out. Hopefully you liked it too, and let me know what you think down below. And if you're interested in commissioning me with something like this, reach out to me in my Instagram or VGen. Both have the links in the description. Thanks for watching. Bye!